on to his knee, holding on to his knee and down.
Shumpert grabs his knee. And he is really in some pain right now.
Williams on the break. Williams!
Look at that right knee. You can just see how it, an athlete's worst nightmare on the floor.
Kobe Bryant draws the double team running over Rubio. Grabbing his left shin. Here comes Davis. Davis falls down and he's hurt.
It's become a common injury for not just NBA players, but athletes everywhere. It's funny, I remember back in the 1970s or whatever, it seemed like nobody ever had an ACL injury. And now they're just commonplace.
You suffered twice, ACL injury. So will you please describe about the moment when you suffered the injury?
Okay, yeah, the first time I suffered my injury, I was playing basketball. You wanted me to tell you to play exactly. How. That was before LeBron James entered the league, but it was the chase down block. I ran from half court all the way to chase somebody for a layup. I went up to block the shot. While I did that, I came down. I think the motion was normal. My left leg landed first, and then immediately my right leg followed. My right foot followed. And I think just at that moment, as soon as my right foot hit the ground, I felt a pop. It was pretty loud. I felt about my knee.
Occurred when I was sparring, and I tried doing moves that, I tried doing 20 years ago, and I'm no spring chicken, as they like to say. And I did a move that my knee couldn't support, and it's one of those classic, like at an angle to the side type of aggressive moves, and my knee just gave out, and my ACL ruptured. I felt and heard a pop.
And all of a sudden, the nose of my board dug into the snow, and my board stopped. My body kept going, and the next thing I knew, I heard this loud pop in my right knee, and felt this excruciating pain. Immediately dropped. Fell back onto my butt, and I pulled my pant leg up, and I could see that my knee was swelling. It was extremely painful.
However, the pain is not the only moment and thing they have to face up.
They run over and they hook onto this tibia. So when they contract, they want to pull the tibia up this way. It's a 6-month sort of recovery, probably 6 to 9 months. And there's a lot of stuff early on that they'll send you home with too, like things called like a cryo cuff that you basically put your leg in it. It's trying to keep the swelling down initially and things like that. And a lot of it is the surgery itself initially, and then the cost for physical therapy afterwards.
Just the surgery, between anesthesia, hospital stay, the surgeon fees, you're probably talking upwards of $100,000.
$100.
Yeah.
They say, wow.
You don't think about it. You're like, crutches aren't that expensive. Whatever. I can. Yeah, it's very upwards of, I would say, probably $80,000+.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think. I could be wrong, but I remember the looking at it. It's like, really. And all they did was tell me to do this, do that. But
Oh yeah. So this kind of injury, can I sum up? Your description as it's not only burn your time, also burn your pocket.
Yeah.
Right.
Burns your money majorly. That's why I think a lot of people, maybe not the pro athletes, but a lot of people are people like average everyday people who have suffered this injury, even had the surgery, they couldn't recover to to the shape that they were in because the cost of the physical therapy and follow-up treatment.
How should they protect their knees? Is
Well,
there any way to prevent this kind of injury?
No, I don't think that's known yet. That's what that's what researchers are still trying to figure out. What predisposes you to having an ACL tear. You know, those kind of things. Those are questions that are still sort of unanswered.
There are certain exercises and stretching things you can do to help prevent it, but there's nothing you can do to guarantee that it won't happen. It's just a freaky thing. You know, like I said, guys make a certain cut and they stress their knee in a certain way and they get hurt.
Admittedly, the prevalent knee injury is curable nowadays. But with such a high expensive treatment fee and without any effective protection measure, is there any side effect after the surgery?
I acquired a wonderful little weather gift. Whenever it, if it gets really, really cold, my knees start to ache, or before it rains, my knee will get really sore. So I can usually tell, when bad weather is rolling in, because my knee will start acting up, as I like to say. And I won't be able to walk very well. It's really stiff, very, very sore. So yeah, I did get a little special ability. Woohoo!
Actually, there's some pretty good research that shows, if you have a traumatic injury like tearing your ACL or meniscus and stuff, you're 2 to 3 times more likely to get osteoarthritis in the knee when you get older. And that's, osteoarthritis is pretty painful and can be debilitating as it progresses.
I actually had a colleague who had the exact same surgery a few days before I did, and he died of an embolism. It's a fluke thing. It happens very, very rarely, but it scared me because he wasn't that much older than I was, and he died of an embolism.
So actually, it's not just about the injury itself.
Oh, absolutely nothing to do with the injury. It's the recovery after surgery. Sometimes these clots form.
It's kind of part of the side effects, but
it's a rare side effect from the surgery.
But it's a rare, but it doesn't mean it's not going to happen.
Exactly. Which again, I wanted my surgeon to reassure me. Like, did I want to be on some kind of blood thinner in case I was developing clots and didn't even know it?
With the high treatment fee, no effective guarantee. What's more, sometimes come along with more or less side effects. Then, what are the potential factors contributing to the knee injuries?
I think the intensity is year-round now for basketball, and it probably wasn't that way, like you said, back in the 90s. So they're training almost non-stop now. Now that wasn't different at the professional level, but at all other levels, it's like a full-time sport. If you're going to play basketball, it's all year-round.
And there's a lot of theories. I think part of it is overuse. Guys play year-round now, and guys tend to play one sport their whole life, so you get these repetitive motion injuries where body parts just kind of wear down. Whereas in the past, kids might have played 3 sports, football, basketball, and baseball. And so you're making different movements and using different muscles, and your body didn't wear down like it does now. And it used to be kids would not play a lot of basketball in the summer. Now, if you're good, you're expected to play, year-round from the time you're in grade school, probably. So I think that puts a lot of stress and wear and tear on the knees and other joints. And your ACL, that ligament, is, kind of the main part of the knee. And I've seen so many injuries when somebody doesn't even get touched, and they tear their ACL. It happened to Al Harrington in a game of Boston, where he just made a cut along the baseline and go get a pass, and he just went down. His shoe kind of stuck to the floor a little bit, and his ligament is tore.
Yeah, the shoe will always be a topic of discussion, because the mechanism that does this is basically when the foot is down and then you try to twist and move. So the shoe, if there's lots of thoughts on it, and nothing is really known yet. But if you think about basketball, that shoe is designed to give you traction on the court. But if there's too much traction, it doesn't allow the foot and the shoe to sort of rotate on the ground. So while your body's trying to rotate, the foot will not. Now you're getting those situations where the knee collapses in while the femur is trying to rotate in, and that's how the ACL tears. So
I think one thing that might contribute to the knee injuries are the shoes they wear today. I've had trainers tell me that they're bigger, they're kind of bulkier, and your feet aren't really connected to the floor that well. Whereas back in the 1960s and 70s, the shoes they wore were, we would call them Converse All-Stars. They were canvas. They're almost like slippers, and your feet were just totally connected to the floor. And guys didn't seem to get hurt then like they do now. But now the shoes are they're bulkier, they're high top, they don't give as much, I don't think. They're different material.
There is kind of some space between, they cannot tightly connect to the floor. Right?
Yeah, and like the shoes might have like plastic in them, whatever, they just aren't as flexible. And whereas they used to be like a canvas material, and they were very flexible. And so I think that is part of it too. Now, shoe companies never going to admit that. If it's ever proven, there'd be lawsuits left and right.
They will lose money.
Absolutely. So, it'll never be proven. But I've had trainers tell me that, and it kind of makes sense to me.
Okay. Why should we protect?
No, that's a great question. So, from a biomechanical perspective, that's what I am, a biomechanist. The thing that everybody does, more or less, is walk. Okay, so if you want to do anything in life, you basically need to be able to walk.
Yeah.
Okay. At least in terms of full function and whatnot. So the knee is actually responsible for the functional shortening and lengthening of your leg, so that you can walk.
Yeah.
So if it's damaged in any way, then walking becomes compromised, and essentially you wouldn't be able to walk anymore.
Someone might have said that when my injury occurred, that my knee failed. I say no, I failed my knee. In other words, I did not properly support and train the muscles.
Now the knee failed you.
I failed my knee.
Yeah.
The knee did not fail me.
Yeah.
So that's my advice. Don't fail your knee. Work on it.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.